American reporter, when a wrestler who's been beaten more times than a dusty rug finally speaks out about their treatment, you're either about to witness a worked shoot that's designed to get social media buzzing or genuine frustration boiling over after months of losing the big ones. Drew McIntyre allegedly dropping a heartbreaking message to the WWE Universe after recent maltreatment sounds like the kind of moment that should make headlines. Except for one small problem. There's no actual evidence this message exists beyond that sensational headline designed to prey on your emotions and generate clicks. But what is absolutely real is Drew's brutal losing streak and the legitimate conversation about whether WWE is completely wasting one of their most talented performers. Let's separate fantasy from reality before we go any further, because accuracy matters, even when we're discussing a predetermined sport where storylines blur with real life. Drew McIntyre has not posted any heartbreaking public message to the WWE Universe calling out his recent treatment by the company. His social media has been consistent with his character work, staying in kayfabe and building storylines rather than shooting on management. So if you came here expecting to hear about Drew burning bridges with a tell-all statement, that didn't happen. What did happen, and this is painfully real, is Drew McIntyre suffering yet another devastating loss at Saturday night's main event, adding to a collection of big match defeats that's starting to look less like compelling underdog storytelling and more like systematic burial of a main event talent. The Scottish Warrior challenged Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship with a stipulation he himself demanded. The title would change hands if Rhodes were counted out or disqualified. That stipulation was supposed to give Drew every advantage, eliminating Cody's escape routes and forcing a definitive finish. Instead, the American Nightmare found a creative loophole by indirectly using his championship belt as a weapon. Cody hit Drew with a DDT on top of the title, while the referee's view was conveniently blocked, meaning no disqualification was called. Rhodes then capitalized on the situation by hitting the Cross Rhodes and securing the pinfall victory. From a storytelling perspective, it's a clever finish that protects both guys. Drew can claim he was screwed and robbed of the championship through questionable tactics. Cody retains without looking weak because he had to bend the rules to survive. In theory, it sets up a rematch or continues the feud with new stakes. But here's the harsh reality. Drew McIntyre has lost so many big matches recently that another loss, regardless of the circumstances, just adds to the perception that he's not actually on Cody's level. Yet another defeat against Cody Rhodes has seemingly killed whatever momentum Drew had left after months of stop-start pushes and near misses. The Scottish Warrior's character has been buried through repeated defeats in major rivalries, and calling it anything else is just sugarcoating the situation. When you position someone as a main event threat and then have them consistently lose when it matters most, you're not building an underdog. You're creating a guy who talks a big game but can't close the deal when championships are on the line. Saturday night's main event showcased several stories of wrestlers who might benefit from stepping away from television for a while to let their characters reset and rebuild momentum. Drew McIntyre tops that list because continuing down this path of challenging for championships and losing is going to permanently damage his credibility to the point where fans stop caring about his title pursuits entirely. Sometimes the best thing creative can do for a character is give them time away to miss them and rethink their presentation. Tiffany Stratton is another name that could use some time off, though her situation is different and arguably more justified. The Buff Barbie wasn't 100% heading into her championship match with Jade Cargill, working through legitimate injuries that were incorporated into the storyline. Jade showed Stratton no mercy, targeting her injured knee before hitting the Jaded to capture her first singles title in WWE and begin what many expect to be a dominant championship reign. Although the injury angle was part of the storyline, reports suggest Stratton has picked up some legitimate knocks during her championship reign that warrant recovery time. She held the WWE Women's Championship since January, defending it successfully multiple times and carrying the division through a transitional period. Taking a few weeks off television after losing the title makes perfect sense, both for storyline purposes and for her physical health. Stratton stepping away would allow Jade Cargill to explore other feuds and establish her championship reign without immediately running back the same program. A returning Bianca Belair would be a dream opponent for Jade, giving the Storm a high-profile feud with someone who matches her athleticism and star power. When Stratton eventually returns, she can rekindle her rivalry with Jade from a position of being the former champion looking to reclaim what she lost, which is always a compelling motivation. The third star who might benefit from time away is Jey Uso, and this situation is particularly interesting because it involves both his recent championship loss and his apparent frustration with fan reactions. Main event Jey came up short against CM Punk in a clean match with no interference and no funny business, losing fair and square to the best in the world. That loss was devastating for Jey's character because it represented his chance to prove he belonged at the top of the card as a world champion rather than just a popular mid-carder. The aftermath of that loss revealed some fascinating character development or legitimate frustration, depending on how you interpret it. Jey was visibly angry with the result, and on his Instagram story, he posted a picture of Punk with the championship and wrote, "Y'all win," with a middle finger emoji. That's a direct shot at fans who didn't want him to win the title, and it represents either brilliant heel character work or genuine bitterness about fan reception. The Yeet Master has been embracing his aggressive side over the past few weeks, showing more edge and anger than the lovable underdog persona that initially got him over as a single star. This Instagram post was yet another example of him acting more heelish, which suggests WWE might be planning a full character turn, where Jey abandons the main event Jey persona and becomes something darker and more aggressive. If that's the direction they're heading, having Jey step away from programming for a few weeks after a heel turn would be perfect timing. It would allow him to take much-needed physical recovery time after months of featured matches and give his character a hard reset before fully embracing a villainous persona. When he returns, he could come back as a completely different version of Jey Uso, one who's bitter about his championship failures and resentful of fans who he feels never truly believed in him. The common thread connecting all three of these potential absences is that Saturday night's main event represented significant turning points in their characters that could benefit from time away to process and evolve. Drew needs to disappear so fans forget about his losing streak, and he can return with fresh motivation and presentation. Tiffany needs recovery time and a break from being featured constantly. Jey needs space to complete his character transformation from beloved underdog to aggressive heel. Whether any of these stars actually take time off from programming ahead of Survivor Series next month remains to be seen. WWE's roster is thin in some areas, and losing multiple featured performers simultaneously could create booking challenges. But from a creative and physical health perspective, all three would benefit from strategic absences that allow their stories to breathe and give audiences time to miss them. Drew McIntyre's situation remains the most frustrating because he's so clearly talented enough to be world champion, but WWE keeps using him as the guy who makes actual champions look good in defeat, rather than actually putting the title on him. That's not maltreatment in the legal sense, but it is creative mismanagement of someone who should be positioned as a cornerstone main eventer, rather than a perpetual challenger who can't win the big one. If Drew were to actually post a heartbreaking message about his WWE treatment like that fake headline suggested, it would be completely understandable given his booking over the past year. But the fact that he hasn't, that he's remained professional and continued doing the work despite the frustrating losses, shows the kind of character and dedication that should be rewarded with better creative direction and an actual championship reign. The wrestling business is built on timing, and sometimes the best move is strategic retreat to rebuild and return stronger. Saturday night's main event might have been the moment where Drew, Tiffany, and Jay all hit that point where time away serves everyone's interest better than grinding forward with damaged momentum and unclear direction. If you want daily updates on who's taking time off, who's returning, and all the backstage decisions affecting your favorite wrestlers, subscribe to the Wrestling Hitting Insight, where we post multiple videos every day. Smash that like button if you think Drew McIntyre deserves better booking than he's getting. Drop a comment predicting which of these 3 stars actually takes time off and who you'd like to see step up in their absence. And please, stop believing every headline claiming wrestlers posted heartbreaking messages without checking if those posts actually exist. Now go forth, support your favorites through the losses and the wins, and we'll catch you in the next video.